Hi, my name is Vincent, and I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. I first received my diagnosis after noticing a couple of things with myself, with my body. One was my manhood wasn't as I thought it should be, but I just kind of knocked that off as I'm getting older. But the thing that really got me was the fact that at night I was noticing I was getting up quite often to go urinate. And it was several times throughout the night, maybe every 45 minutes to an hour, it seemed like I was getting up. So I figured it's the time now to figure out what's going on.
So when I went to the doctor in November, he found blood in my stool and he asked me to have a colonoscopy. Actually, it was October. He asked me to have a colonoscopy in November, so it was probably about 2 weeks before I got my diagnosis.
Did the blood work and my PSA numbers came back. PSA numbers are specific numbers that a range of numbers where they let you know if you have cancer. And when mine came back, it was kind of shocking.
My initial reaction was numbness.
And he explained what can happen, the options that we would have, that I would have to try and treat it.
I came in upbeat, and after hearing that news, my body just felt numb.
When I left out of his office, I just went to my truck, sat in my truck, and just had to think about a whole lot. Thought about my family, my wife, my kids. Am I gonna be around him much longer? How long? It's just a flood of things that just came in on me.
I remember driving home after my diagnosis, and I went through a range of emotions. I cried, I prayed, and then seemed like my mind went into, like I blacked out.
My head wasn't there. My mind was still on, am I going to die? How did I get this? Is my time here on earth about to end? I mean, my mind's everywhere.
My name is Pastor Bobby Hampton, and I'm a stroke survivor. I had my first encounter when I went to the doctor in 2016 for a physical examination, and after that physical examination, the doctor told me that I've had blockage a quad blockage in 4 different parts of my artery, and that was a very shock to me when it took place. And I went to go back to tell my wife about it, and she got all out of place at the time. But within that, after I went there, I had a light stroke. But the light stroke did not scare me. I didn't know I had a light stroke, but he had told me that I had a light stroke.
I was dealing with health issues, found myself in the hospital. I remember going through a spell of 1 year. I had been in the hospital like 6 times. 2 of them I had been in ICU, and just knowing, the doctor saying, hey, you're not going to make it to 40, you're not going to make it to 35, and it's like, okay, I've got to make a difference in my life. And I knew that it didn't happen overnight, so I knew it wasn't going to be an overnight journey to change some things, but I just had to make sure that I stayed focused on the lifestyle change. I remember some of the things that sent me to the hospital. I remember my legs would begin to swell really bad, and then I went in and it was like, okay, things are starting to shut down. not knowing whether it's congestive heart failure, what's really going on. And I remember them coming back and saying, hey, you've got cellulitis in your legs. It's beginning to bleed over and cause staph infection. It's hit your bloodstream. It's shutting your organs down. We're going to put antibiotics in your body. We're going to put the strongest thing that we can in you. And I remember at one point putting a central line in my arm, and it ran over into the top of my heart, and I would go every other day to have treatments. And it was like, I remember it just drained me so bad. I had no energy, and I would have to ask for help to get my clothes on and to do things. And I was just like, this is not the quality of life that I want to continue to deal with.
I ended up finding out in 2018, after I retired after 41 years with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, that I had 25% function of my kidney. A kidney disorder is not something that you notice. It really doesn't affect you as far as physically or anything like that. It's usually determined through urinalysis and this type of thing. So when they were doing their regular tests, then they found out that I had kidney problems. My biggest challenge was not allowing myself to go into depression and having a pity party. Poor me. Why am I going through this? Why is God doing this to me? Those questions never really crossed my mind.
I remember my initial thought when the doctor told me that information was saying to myself, like, I'm not accepting this. I'm not going to sit here with somebody who honestly is telling me the truth. But it's like, it wasn't that I was in denial, but I wasn't going to sit there and just keep taking that. Hey, you're not going to make it 35.
So, like Hezekiah, I turned my face to the wall. I had me a 15-minute pity party, and then I just said, hey, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. Just like, after Hezekiah prayed, then God turned around and sent Isaiah back and told him, you got 15 more years, So it was the same thing for me after my little pity party. And it was about 15 minutes. Then I made up my mind, said, this ain't going to shut me down.
But it was on my way to work. It was one day I was on my way to work one morning. And my mind is, racing, thinking about these things. And God just spoke to me almost as though he was sitting next to me in the car. And he said, look, this condition is not unto death.
I always was told, if you're going to pray about it, don't worry about it. And that's what I took that into account. But that encounter made me look at myself a whole lot different and to start to recognize that I need to start doing something different. And the things that I did different was that I started eating better.
And it was basically afterwards when I had to change my diet. I couldn't eat as much as I normally would eat. Actually eating 4 meals a day in just small amounts. And it was changing from eating unhealthy foods like beef, a lot of beef, which is top of the chart that you don't want to eat. Then it's pork, chicken, fish.
And there were very few changes to my diet. There's certain things, I like spicy food. They suggested that I eat the natural, like hot peppers and not hot sauce. Use seasoning, as opposed to a lot of things that had high sodium, those kind of things included.
I just, I had to cut out a lot of stuff. All of the white stuff, I had to cut it out. My pastas, my breads, my dairy. I had to start looking at carbs. And yeah, I don't always, there's moments where I still take those things in, but I take it in moderation. And so, I had to just make sure that those things, because for me being diabetic on top of the weight loss journey, I had to make sure that I wasn't putting things in my body that turned to sugars. And so the carbs are bad. We all know that. And so I had to just make sure I cut those things out. The sugary drinks, I had to cut those out. The sweets, I had to cut those out. And after a period of time, your body gets to the point of where it just rejects it, even if you put it in your body.
God has revealed to me during this time that he first let me know he wanted to use me as a vessel to not only talk about him, but talk about this for men, and primarily our black men. Not to exclude any other man, but primarily to our black men, because, so many times, we as black men, we've been taught that, we're tough. We got to be the one to stand strong and stuff like that. But I've learned through the years, after seeing some of my relatives, my uncles and stuff, go through some things that probably could have been different if they had gone to the doctor. And I want to be that example for my sons and, other friends and members of my church, and, just be connecting them. But God has told me to be, for me to be a vessel and to talk to guys, talk to men.
I just want to encourage our guys. A lot of times we've been, I'm going to say it, programmed to feel like if I don't go to the doctor, if the doctor can never tell me that something is wrong, then everything is good. And we are the head of our houses and our families, and we've got to take care of ourselves.
And guys, you take care of your car. You got to take care of your body just even more so than your car. Go get an annual physical every year. So I'm a person that goes to my annual physical in January. Go know your numbers, know your cholesterol, know your blood pressure.
So I would urge every man to get checked out, even though you don't like going to a doctor and this type of thing. Go anyway and get checked out, because you just don't know what's going on.
We're so focused on making sure mom is good, making sure dad's good, making sure the kids and the wife, but we've got to make sure that we're good, because it's just like that airplane. If the plane should go down, put the oxygen mask on yourself first, because if you can't save you can't save anybody else. So go to the doctor, get checked out. It's not the end of the world. Surround yourself with guys who have went through some of these same journeys, and listen and take the advice and enjoy life.